All right, the next idea is completely different to absolute and percentage error. We're going to talk about rates. A rate is any time you compare between different types of measurement. You see rates every day, but you don't think about them. Has anyone seen those signs? What is this sign telling you to do? Drive at 50 kilometers per hour. This is speed. It is a rate. What rate? What are the two different measurements that speed is comparing? Distance is in kilometers and hours as a form of time. So it is a rate comparing distance traveled to time taken. Notice it's red and black. You don't need to get any of this down. I'm just telling you and I'm showing you that you know what a rate is, but you've never formally talked about it that way. Now you know. Any time that I compare one number to something else. Who works here? What do they say about your pay? Is it called a pay rate? Why? Because it's 15 whatever dollars per hour. See how it's a comparison between the amount of money you earn and the time taken to do that work? It's everywhere. So I'm going to go over 3 different rates. Speed. As discussed, speed is a comparison of distance versus time. This can be rearranged with algebra to also find distance or time, which you're going to practice in your exercises. Can you please get the formula for speed down? Speed is equal to distance over time, writing time. Now, let's get the formula. That's something you can chuck in your cheat sheet. Okay, you have a formula, but there's some tricks to it. The units of speed depend on the distance and the time units that you're using. For example, if the distance I had was in kilometers and the time was in hours, what's my speed going to be in? My distance in kilometers and my kilometers per hour. That's it. Anyone here do athletics? So when you run, they're not going to measure in kilometers per hour. You don't run far enough. They'll probably measure in meters per second. It just depends on what measurements you're going to do. They're not going to measure 100 meters in kilometers. They're going to go, I ran 100 meters in 10 seconds. So your speed is going to be in meters per second, not kilometers an hour. And also please note this second thing here. So writing time for this second box. When you're doing your practice, you're going to notice sometimes instead of kilometers an hour like it's written here, it's going to write kilometers with a H and -1 power. They just mean the exact same thing. I don't need to go into the maths explaining what a negative reciprocal was. I explained it to my Ignites. I picked up my 10 maths class second semester last year, so I wasn't able to explain it to you there. You're in general maths, you don't need to care. If it says kilometers with a H and to the power of -1, they mean the exact same thing, kilometers per hour. So can you get that second box down, please, and we'll do an example. All right, let's show you how to use this formula. A car is traveling 325 kilometers. Part A, find its average speed if it takes 4 hours, 17 minutes for the trip. What is the formula for speed? Speed is equal to distance. So how far is this car going according to the example? How many kilometers? 325 goes at the top. Over. We have a problem here. Is that time in one kind of units or is it in two? It's in two. I need one time. It's 4 hours, 17 minutes. So there's two ways you could deal with this, okay? The way ordinary people would do, they would do this. They would go 4. The time is going to be 4.17, and that would be wrong, but someone needs to explain to me why that's wrong. Yes?
There's 60 minutes in an hour.
Good. But this 0.17 is saying 17 hundredths, which is not the same as minutes, okay? So the first way you could deal with it is you could convert. I have part of an hour, 17 minutes. 17 divided by, how many minutes are there in an hour? 60. So if I go 17 divided by 60, that's going to tell me what fraction of an hour I have. It's 0.28. So you'd go 17 over 60 is 0.28. So my actual time that I'm going to put on the bottom is 4 hours, 0.28. Because I converted the 17 minutes into a fraction of an hour. Okay? Do you agree that 17 minutes is about a quarter of an hour? Slightly longer? Is 0.28 slightly more than a quarter? See how that works? Whereas if you put 0.17, that's like a fifth. That's not close to a quarter of an hour. Okay? So that, you have the right units there. You can grab your calculator. 325 divided by 4.28, 75.93. 75.93 kilometers per hour. You could do it that way. So can you get that example down, please? I'll show it in a different way if you'd like. Let's do it 325, but maybe you don't get what I was doing there with the hours and stuff. Could I convert the 4 hours and 17 minutes into minutes? How many minutes in an hour? 60. So 60 times 4, 240. Plus 17, 257. So I could divide it by 257, but that's in minutes. So my answer is going to be in kilometers every minute. 325 divided by 257. 1.26, but it's not going to be kilometers an hour. It's going to be kilometers per minute. Does the question tell you what units my speed needs to be in? So I'll accept both. I can't mark you down. I can't say, oh, you should have given your answer in kilometers an hour. Did I freaking ask for it in kilometers an hour? No? So you do it however you like. Okay? B, find the time taken if the average speed was 93 kilometers an hour. Have I given you a formula that finds the time? No. I've given you speed is equal to distance over time. Is this equation set up to find the time? It's not. I need to rearrange it. What's the opposite of dividing something by time? Multiply both sides by time. Times by time. What's going to happen to the times on the other side? They cancel out. So my equation now is time times speed equals distance. I'm getting closer. I don't have a fraction anymore. Is time by itself yet? How do I get rid of this times by speed? What's the opposite of timesing something by speed? If I divide both sides by speed, speed's going to cancel out. So what equation do I have now? Time is equal to the distance over speed. See how you have a formula to find the time now? What distance did the car travel? It traveled 325. So time equals 325. What does part B say? How fast was the car going? 93. So the time taken, 325 kilometers divided by 93 kilometers an hour. It's going to take 3.49 hours, rounded to 2 decimal points. All right, writing time, please. Can you get those 2 examples down that show you speed? Can you keep it down? It's still recording. Scroll it up a bit so people can see at the back. So I'm going to have a heart attack if I scroll this. Do you have a question right now?
So the answer for speed was 75.93.
Yep.
Why do we use the 93? What's the 75 for?
The 75.93 is your answer to A.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're answering B. We know how far the car went.
Oh.
Boys at the back, I don't see you up here. If you want to come up here and record it so we can all have a laugh, do it. We know how far it went.
Yeah.
We know what speed it was taking. Well, now the question is how long did it take?
Yeah.
Okay, next rate. Rate of flow. Get this formula, it's quite easy. The rate of flow is equal to the volume over time. So rate of flow is used to measure how fast liquids come out of things like this. So I could time how long I let the tap run, get it to run into like a litre, and then work out how much water was coming out of the tap per minute or per second. So another cheat sheet special. A warning to that mainstream year 10 class that I had last year. I wrote you cheat sheets last year, didn't I? I warned you, you're not getting that this year. I warned you. The other classes were dumbing down everything. I refused to do that, but I helped them in that way. All right, let's find the rate of flow. A bucket's filled from a tap. The bucket's 12 litres. Takes 30 seconds to fill. Find the rate of flow. Rate of flow is equal to, what's the volume of the bucket? How much does the bucket hold? 12 over time takes 30 seconds to fill. So my time is in seconds. 12 divided by 30. 12 over 30. So it's 0.4 litres per second. But is that what the question is asking? Is that what A is asking you to do? Is it asking for it in litres per second or litres per minute? Per minute. I have it in seconds right now. What could I do with this number to get a minute's worth of flow?
Multiply by 60.
Good, because how many seconds are there in a minute? 60. So 0.4 times by 60. 24 litres per minute. Right, that's A. Get that, please. Anyone able to help me out with B? How do I find the rate of flow in millilitres per second?
You just divide it by 60.
Not quite. How many milliliters are there in 1 liter? There's 1,000 milliliters. And then we're going back to seconds. So I'm not going to... This here is just to answer A. But we can go back here. I've got it in 0.4 liters. 0.4 liters every second. So how many milliliters would that be? If you've told me there's 1,000 milliliters in a liter, what would I times this by? 1,000. Okay? So times by 1,000 is going to be... There's going to be 3 jumps. So it's going to be 400 milliliters per second, which is what I want there. Can you get that? Down to that star, please. One more. So I should be finished in like 5 minutes or so. Get those 2 examples down, please.
Paper is gridded with pre-made lines.
I know. I didn't keep the rules straight. I was on the line and then I just wasn't.
Do you have young teachers in Germany? Do they use technology? Okay, good. You got roads in Germany that have no speed limit. That would be fun. Fastest we can go is 110. Even in the middle of Australia. There used to be one road in Australia that had no speed limit. Went right up the middle, but they changed that.
She also doesn't believe me when I tell her facts about the city she lives in. But
Did anyone hassle her about drop bears? Do you know
yeah,
what a drop
that's
bear
what we
is?
did. No, we
Have you tried a Tim Tam Slam yet?
It's
Bro!
we take a
Have
Tim
we
Tam.
not?
No, because she's like, oh, it's just a chocolate cookie.
A Tim Tam Slam is a way of life. Okay?
Oh, we tricked her.
That's
with
one
drop
of the only good things we have.
We tricked her with drop bears.
We'll talk about that
And
later.
she figured it.
Last one. Last one, density. Shush. What is density? It's a measure of the amount of stuff packed into a space. As you're a bunch of young, cool, hip people, you might better understand this term as thickness with 2 C's. Density compares the mass of matter, grams and kilograms, to the volume of space taken up, cubic centimeters and cubic meters. Can you please get this formula down? What is density? It's the amount of mass divided by the volume. And we most commonly measure it in grams per cubic centimeter. Can you get to that star, please? This is the last one. You've had enough of my voice, but I got you to work for half an hour.
What does that say? In
Yeah, you've never seen me.
Grams, cubic centimeter cube. Grams over centimeter cube.
Oh. I thought it said gram.
No, it's not.
I'm like, why are we talking?
Oh my god, make me just go touch me again.
That's disgusting. Why is there me up there anyway?
Because I don't make foot like this.
What the hell?
So density is the
Oh, yeah,
amount
yeah.
of density is the amount of mass divided by the volume, which is the space something takes up. We're going to do one example here. So I think an example that would relate to you people is Ice Spice used to have a high level of thickness or density. Now she no longer has a high level of thickness or density. And that sort of went down the same as her popularity. Is that correct?
I spelled witch wrong.
How did you spell it?
I didn't finish spelling the word, but it was W-I-C. Which is how you spell all of the witches.
No.
Wait,
No.
what's the other one? Is there only 2 witches?
I think so.
I thought there was 3. Which witch is which? Yeah.
Spoken to you already. You want to go on? I'll get you in a minute.
Witch.
You can have a science.
No.
Which?
Both
How many witches are there?
All right, last
Oh, I
question.
haven't wrote it.
You've been troopers so far. We have a question. The density of aluminium is 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Find the mass of an aluminium bar that has dimensions given here. That's not asking you to find the density. Does it tell you the density already? Last time up here, I showed you how to rearrange the speed formula. What I want to show you now is How about you just put in the numbers that you know and then rearrange after? 2 different ways. So I want to find the mass. But Mr. Twazon has given you a formula that finds the density. It doesn't help me. Yes, it does. Does the question tell you what the density is? So in that formula, I'm going to write 2.7 equals, I don't know the mass, that's what I'm trying to find, divided by the volume. So now you're telling me what substances you on. We don't know what the volume is. Do we have the information we need to find the volume of this?
Yes.
Because it's a rectangular prism. It's going to be like that. So it's, 10 centimeters long, 5 centimeters tall. I'm on purpose trying to trick you. Because are these all in the same units? No. What's 2.4 meters going to be? How many centimeters is that going to be?
24.
Times by 100?
Oh.
Almost. You got the right numbers. But you times it by 100, 240.
Oh.
That's fine. You'll remember that from now. How do I find the volume of that rectangular prism now? Length times width times height. So volume is going to be, where was my calculator? It was on this side. 240 times 10 times 5. So my volume is 12,000 cubic centimeters. Do I have everything I need now to find the mass? Do I know what the volume is now? Do I have a number for that? 12,000. So 2.7 is equal to mass over 12,000. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm doing here. I'm not rearranging the formula to start off with. I'm showing you that you can use the formula, plug in what you know, and then rearrange it after. What's 12,000 doing to mass? What does a fraction bar mean? What operation is that in mass? Add, take, divide, times. You're dividing by 12,000. I want to get rid of this. What's the opposite of dividing something by 12,000? Times. If I times both sides by 12,000, times this by 12,000, that's going to cancel out. So mass is going to be whatever, wrong side. 12,000 times by 2.7, so 32,400. What units were we talking about though? Is that in kilograms or what does the G stand for? Grams. So we're in 32,400 grams of mass. Does the question ask you to do it in kilograms? Does it tell you what units it wants the mass in? So you just leave it. Don't waste time converting. Okay, you're very restless and I apologize for that. I wanted to get those 3 out. So I'll stop the